Klutch simulations.
What's going on, guys? Klutch here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing another tutorial on Seasons 19, a how-to look at animals in Seasons. Now guys, Seasons changes the game up dramatically, and if you're looking for more information on this stuff, we've got a couple other videos you can take a look at. Take a look in the playlist, or if you do a quick search through our video library, you'll find stuff. Right now we've got stuff already done on the grass itself, how to deal with grass in Seasons, as well as just the general overview of Seasons itself, the menus, and what you're going to be looking at in that. So you can take a look at that, or make sure I put a card up for at least one of those videos. Probably at the end you'll find some more as well. Anyways, today we're talking about animals, and well, we're only going to be talking about two different types of animals. We've got, well, over here we got sheep pens at least, and on this side we're going to have to talk about chickens. Now these mods, this mod in particular, changes things up considerably for how we're going to work these types of animals. Base game, it was fairly straightforward. You'd pick whatever sheep you'd wanted, put it in your pen, give it water, give it food, and you'd get your product. Same with your chickens. Now that's not to say it's completely different now. You just have a lot more options, and you can kind of build your farm to your taste. Let's talk a bit more about that. Alright, so we'll start off and we'll start talking about sheep, because I personally believe sheep are the easiest animal now to take care of in Seasons 19 mod at least. They've actually changed it up. They're a little bit easier than chickens. Now, one thing to keep in mind of as well with Seasons, guys, your pens are now considered a grazing area. So your animals will now graze inside the pens whenever there's grass available. Now, that all depends on the size of the pens and the amount of sheep or animals that are inside of it. But that is an option for a food source that may help you out in times when you don't have any food available. Now, keep in mind, of course, you can run out of food, or we're going to run out of grazing spots in the pens, and that is obviously a problem. As well, if you were to put food into the troughs, then the animals will choose whatever food source is better. Well, it's always going to be better than grass, typically. Of course, with sheep, it doesn't matter. Sheep like grass, so that's totally fine there. So let's take a look inside our sheep pen here and see what our options are. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is, of course, you've got 4 different types of sheep. Beforehand, in standard game, we just had different colors. Now it is different types. In base game, it was always more profitable to stick with one type of sheep. They would not crossbreed. So if you had just a white-only sheep, and then you had a white and black sheep, it was never profitable to do that. You were always better off to always stick with one colored sheep. Now, the same can probably be said for this as well. It's more beneficial to stay with one style, since they don't really interbreed in that sense. Now, you can see here we have the Dorset, we have the Merino, the Suffolk, and the Dorper. I am not a sheep herder. I do not know the difference between any of these. Anyways, so if we look into the descriptions of each one of these, you're going to notice that, well, the description is different, of course, for each one, as well as the weight, and most importantly, the money, the amount that each of these types of sheep are worth. And each one of these has a forte or a point of that's makes them a little bit stronger than other ones. For instance, let's start with the Dorset. This one here grows at a moderate rate. It requires minimal amount of feed as an adult. It does both production of wool, and it's good for making a food source out of it. So it's relatively profitable in that sense. You'll want to wait till it's about 50 to 85 pounds before selling it off. So that's kind of a mid-range, kind of a jack-of-all-trades style of sheep. Now, if we move down one, you can see the Merino. It's the cheapest, so that's one of the upsides of it. But that being said, it grows rather slowly, and it doesn't require a lot of feed, but it's not very profitable either. So just be aware of that. However, it does make probably the most wool, I think. We're going to find that out in a second, but it's very well, it's good for making wool production. We move down to the Suffolk? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a large sheep, as you can see there. It grows extremely fast, produces a moderate amount of wool, but it grows extremely fast, but it also requires a lot of feed. So be aware of that. It's slow to mature, and it gets a little bit bigger, so it's probably going to be worth a little bit more when it sells. And then the Dorper, which is the last one, produces no wool whatsoever. Very fast growing, requires very little feed. Not quite as big as the Suffolk though. So they're all a little bit different. You can kind of choose how you want your pen to look. I still think you're going to be better off staying all with one breed rather than mixing it up though. So what we're going to do here, guys, we're going to test all 4 breeds. I'm going to test one in each one of these pens. You can kind of see going down the road here. We're going to wait a couple days. We'll see how long it takes. Maybe a season, actually. And we'll see what exactly comes. How much wool we get out of each breed. how much feed they use, and how many times they recreate, or procreate, I should say. So I'll set this all up and we'll take a look at that. So much like our sheep, our chickens have also been completely revamped, guys. And, well, you wouldn't even notice until you get into the menu, of course. We go into our menu now. Once again, you can see we have 4 different types. Now, if you remember in FS19, the base series, there was no reason to have a rooster. I think we did a video on this a little while back, and if you go back and find that particular video, I'll see if I can remember to put a card on for this. But there was absolutely no point in having roosters. Roosters did you absolutely zero good in game. It made no difference whatsoever, which was interesting. So now there is definitely a reason, or a reason to have a rooster. So we have technically 3 different breeds, and we have roosters. Now, in order to get more chickens, you need a rooster. If you don't have a rooster, the eggs don't get fertilized. You will never get more chickens. However, if you just want eggs with the roosters you have, you don't need roosters. That's fine. You can just get eggs out of these chickens, but you don't need the roosters. Now, if you want to get more chickens, the ratio to rooster to chicken is 8:1 is what you want to strive to have. That is the optimum number of roosters to chickens, and that's what we're going to start with. So for sheep, just so you're aware, we have each pen has 10 sheep in it. We have a 10 in each one of those. We're going to go with 8 chickens and 1 rooster in each one of these pens, and we're going to see what we get. So the white longhorns, they're $6 each. So these ones here are all about eggs. So these ones here will produce the most amount of eggs, and they don't reproduce as frequently. The Cornish cross, they're more of a fast-growing one. So we want to sell these as we're reproducing chickens. And the Rhode Island red, I believe this one is the hybrid. That's right, the hybrid breed. So it does a mixture of both. So we'll take a look at that. Now it's interesting. The Cornish cross, only $1, only $1. Curious. So let's buy. We'll start at each pen. Like I said, we'll do 8 chickens in each pen with 1 rooster. We'll do with the white longhorns here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and our 1 rooster. Boom. There you go. As well, we'll feed these guys before we go. Now I should also mention, guys, the troughs, the feeding troughs, and the water troughs only hold enough food and water for 48 hours now. But it is dependent on how many animals you have, so that does change. So it's 48 hours max, but it's dependent on the amount of animals you have in the pen, so that does change. You'll find if you have a few animals, it uses next to no food. Meanwhile, if you have a full pen, that could be a lot more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a rooster. Boom. Down there, feed these guys off. I've got 1 extra pen because I forgot we don't need roosters, so we'll just put a bunch of roosters in a pen just for fun. Let's see here. This one goes up here. Okay. Oh, there's no chickens in there, so we can't do anything with it yet. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and a rooster. Boom. And some food. And obviously the grazing for chicken pens is not an option since they're chickens. They need wheat or barley. That is what it is. And last of all, guys, let's just put a bunch of roosters in one just to see what happens. This just seems mean. What's the worst that could happen? I feel a bit mean. Anyways, we're going to see what happens to all of these pens. We'll be back in, let's see, if it's 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. We'll see if we get anything after that amount of time. Alright guys, so we went a whole year. We're on a 3-day season cycle right now, or 3-day season cycle. We decided to go a whole year because we weren't getting any of the results that were really manageable, I guess. Couldn't really tell exactly what was happening. We just went a couple of days. So we went a whole year. You can see we're late spring, about to hit summer again. And I think we got some decent results. Now, we got some interesting things that have happened. And I want to talk about those for sure. But let's take a quick look here. So we've got a bit of wool. Not a lot of wool, but to be honest with you, I expected more for a whole year. Now, I know we only started with 10 sheep in each of these folds, or each of these pastures. And it looks like we got considerably more, of course. You can see over here, this is our middle one. It's got a lot more. It's got considerably more wool. Up here, we've got, not so much. I think that's 2, what is this, like 6 over here? 5, and then our first one was what, 4? Not even 2. So there is definitely a difference between each of the different types of sheep. The interesting thing, and we'll go through each of these actually. You know what? Let's do that first. We'll go through each one of these. So the Dorsets were the front one, so it had the least amount of wool. It was only 2 bales. And then what's this one here? The Merinos, they had the most by far, substantially more. And then second to last was the whatever that last one. I don't know the name of any of these sheep. the Suffolk, and lastly the Dorpers. Now, the Dorpers, guys, they didn't make any wool whatsoever. None. Zero. No wool. Now, it says in here that they should be grows fast but produces... No, now it says no wool. That makes sense. I was reading one beforehand where it said it was in between. No wool. I, for some reason, expected to see a little bit of wool here. So you're not going to get any wool with the Dorpers. However, how many did we get? Let's take a look at the menu here and see how many we ended up with the Dorpers. So we started with, what, 10 of those? And, oh, see, now this is the problem with this menu system. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 23 now. That was 23 more sheep. Well, it's 13 more sheep. We started with 10. We're up to 23 of those. That's pretty substantial. That's not bad at all. Take a look at the pricing of all these guys as well. Prices have gone down on them. So you're starting $470 what you pay for them. They sell for a maximum of $391. Yeah, and down to $299 for the newest ones. So just be aware of that one. If we move down to our next one, you can see our Suffolk. So they produced a little bit of wool, not that much in the grand scheme of things. Their current price, $502 is what you purchase them for. Most we're going to get for them right now is, what, $436. So you're losing a little bit of money on each one right now, but you're obviously making sheep to cover that cost and wool if you decide to sell them. So we only have 20 of the Suffolk, so not quite as many as, I can't remember, the Drummond? Is that what it is? So a little bit less over here. Now if we scroll down a little bit further, keep on going down the line. These ones here were our Merinos. They had the most wool, as you can see, substantially more wool. We'll take a look at numbers just so you can see the exact literage afterwards. But let's count how many we have of those now. So we ended up with 18 of the Merinos. So once again, the price for those $435, and the most expensive one we're gonna sell for is $369. And there's only 18 of them, but we made a lot more wool than anything else. And our last one, the Dorsets, $485 price, max price $405. So they only lost, 20% maybe in price over the year. And let's count how many we got. And we ended up with 18 of these guys as well. So that's not bad. Not a lot of wool, mind you, with them, but 18 of those ones. I don't know. I think those Merinos aren't too bad. That's not bad. So as for prices, let's take a quick look at the amount of actual wool. So the Dorsets, 403 liters. Merinos, 85. There must have been something must have got bumped there. It's way more than that. That's the second piece. So we had one full pallet plus 85, and then one pallet, is it 4,000? No. Anyways, we missed one pallet there. So one full pallet, 85, 534 for the Suffolk. So that's quite a bit more, 100 liters more on those. And then of course 0 on the Dorpers. Interesting. Huh. So I don't know if you have a sell or an option. You can come up with a conclusive answer on what you want to do with these. There's not one that's really much better than any of the other ones. If you want to focus more on wool, of course, well, your option's only here. This is going to be your option. The Merinos, you definitely want to focus on those. If you want to focus solely on meat, well, then you go down to the Dorpers. These two in the middle here, that's really up to you. Now let's look at chickens. Now, they are, I don't know, I would say pretty straightforward, guys. I'm just going to go a very quick one on this one. You can see we've cut quite a few chickens now. We started with, what, 8? And they multiplied pretty substantially. Yeah, now the two on the ends here, this one, which is, I don't remember the name of this one again, the Rhode Island Reds. So we have Rhode Island Reds, and then as well, at the front, the White Leghorns. So these two, very similar as far as what you're going to get out of them. So you're going to see it's $6 to buy, $8 to purchase on those. The sell prices for each of the chickens ends up being a little bit of a loss, but not too much. What do Leghorns go for now? Out of curiosity, they're up to 8, so there's not even a loss here on the Rhode Island Reds. So maybe the Rhode Island Reds may be a bit of a better deal. The count is very similar. The amount of eggs, it's a little less for the Rhode Island Reds. But the one interesting one, so those two I would say are pretty much a wash in the grand scheme of things, because we're talking about chickens that don't have that much, they don't make that much. I was not expecting these ones here, which are the Cornish Cross. So I didn't really read this. Now you can see there's $0 or $1 to purchase. Depends on the year. They were down to $0 when I was buying them. The meat grows extremely fast. They require a lot of feed, but they do not reproduce. So after 2 to 3 days, they just die. I've had to replenish this 2 or 3 times now. Woke up in the morning, every single one of these chickens, the rooster was still alive, but every single one of the chickens died. Gone. Done. Not even there. So I'd have to replenish them, put them back in. Now you can see right now they've been around for what, 0.2 years, 8 pounds. That's about as much as we're going to get out of these. We probably have to sell these today. I bet you by tomorrow they will be dead. If we don't sell these, they will be gone. So the Cornish cross do not reproduce. Just be aware of that. You're not going to get any eggs out of them. You just raise them and sell them. And last of all, guys, our roosters are still down here. Exactly the same amount as we put in. They didn't try to kill each other off. So they're still in here. They eat a lot of food, to be honest with you. That's about it. So the only other thing on closing, guys, that it is interesting to see the difference in amount of food that everything uses in wintertime. Be aware that in wintertime, things tend to ramp up as far as the amount of food needed and care taken. Especially while our sheep, because our sheep were used to have grazing in the summer. Once winter hits, they no longer graze, and that becomes a problem. Now, I've gone ahead and installed water pumps on all these troughs to hold 15% at least. So I think it holds it around, 15% of the water, so I didn't have to fill it up the whole time. You just got to place this close to the trough on each one, and that's all it needs to happen. You can hear it kind of running. But that's really all you have to know, guys. So, like I said, there's a couple different interesting changes to each of these animals. You can kind of choose how you want to run your farm, whether there's a certain product you'd rather make or not. Not a huge difference in the grand scheme of things, especially with sheep and chickens. There's not a lot. I mean, you can go right to the extremes, of course, with just having meat or just having the product for the most part, but generally speaking, the rest of them are all fairly similar, and I don't think you're going to go wrong with any of them. So, anyways, I hope this was helpful, guys. If it was, don't forget to drop a like. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, do not forget to subscribe. We've got some more stuff on cattle, horses, and what else do we have still? Oh yeah, pigs. We're going to do pigs still too. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. We will see you guys next time. This is Klutch. Over and out.